Hello everyone and welcome back to World of Warplanes. This time we will not be taking a look at any planes in particular. We are simply going to go through the history of World of Warplanes and the state that World of Warplanes is in currently. These are going to include all of my opinions, and you may not agree with them all. And that's the awesome ability of the internet, because it allows you to express your opinions in methods that allows everyone to criticize you. I don't know. I think this is the method I'm going to use to voice my opinion. I was thinking about YouTube or a forum post, but I will still do a forum post, but this will be linked in the forum post because I can visually show my thoughts and feelings with YouTube using replays and stuff I'd gathered earlier that I simply would not be able to do through a forum post and through words alone. So if you don't want to hear a rant, you don't want to listen to this crap, you don't want to listen to me talk, then fine. If you don't watch it, I don't care. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it, okay? This is for those, this video is made just because I think there are some serious issues right now that need to be addressed. Otherwise, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue doing World of Warplanes. I'm a very patient person. I try to be very understanding. I really do, especially on this type of stuff that I enjoy. I really do enjoy World of Warplanes. But if they can't sort out their issues, then I'm no longer gonna play World of Warplanes. But let's go through. I don't want to jump right to that. I want to start off talking about my credibility and my history with this game, so that way you know where my point of view is coming from, what type of player I am, and why my opinion matters, I guess. You guys may have different opinions. But don't hate on my opinions. They are just mine. You know, if you have your own opinions, then by all means let me know in the comment section below or on the forum post that I'll make. Really do anything you want. I don't care. It's your opinions. Do with them as you please. This is what I'm going to do with my opinions, and this is how I please with my opinions. So, without further ado, I want to talk first about the history of the history of World of Warplanes to me, I guess. I started off sending in applications for alpha testing and also for closed beta testing. Both were denied. I was not accepted. So the first bit that I got, the first exposure I got to World of Warplanes, I guess, was open beta. I was really excited for open beta, and I played it a lot. There was a lot of people playing during beta, and it was really fun. I made it up to the BF-109Z at the time, but that was the highest plane I had. I also had the 109G, but otherwise I really didn't get that far. I didn't want to play, I didn't have the ability to play as much as I do now, so I really didn't make it that far. But I really enjoyed beta, and then after beta, I received the Pegasus. If you guys know what that is, it's the Tier 2 Soviet attack aircraft with 9 rockets and 1 gun. Yes, you heard that right. It's an attack aircraft with a single gun. So it is really just as bad as you envision. Really, your only power to destroy ground targets is your rockets, and even that is not very good. But besides the point, that's what I got first, and then also by Christmas time I'd received the I-15 BIS DM. So if you guys know that plane, that one's really powerful. That was a Christmas present for their first year anniversary. So yes, I have that. Also, 3-man flights were also a thing back then, which is kind of cool. But 3-man flights kind of became banned as statistics came in, and it was very evident that just 3 people working together would influence the battle too much, so those were canceled. And then, you know, shortly after open beta, the population was still pretty good, but it was clear that the population started declining shortly after open beta. And by 6 months after open beta, the population was basically as dead as it ever was. And this led to situations. My brother had made it up to the Pirate, the F6U Pirate, because he really enjoyed the game. But at that point, there just simply were not enough players, and he would sit in the queue for 20 minutes at a time, half an hour at a time, get kicked back to the hangar and go back into the queue and wait another 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get into a single battle at high tiers. It was that bad. And Wargaming saw this problem, and so that's when they started to add bots. So that's when the bot program started to start, but it took so long for them to implement the bot system. At that point, I really just didn't care in the game anymore. And so once I saw the player base plummeting, I didn't care about the game that much, so I just stopped playing. Although, before that, there was a UFO event. This was for April Fools. I think it was the first April Fools they had access to. There was a UFO event, and that was really fun. There was a Tier 5 UFO that they claimed actually existed in real life. And if you do research on it, it actually did exist. The Germans did try to build a UFO during World War II. But, you know, it had no flaps, no wings, no anything, and so it really just didn't fly. It was basically the grandfather of helicopters. That's kind of the type of technology they wanted to use with it. But regardless, Wargaming implemented it into the game as an April Fool's joke, and that was really fun. You shot lasers, and it was really crappy playing. Like, it really sucked, but it was a fun mode, you know, seeing UFOs fly around. But yeah, the player base really did plummet, and that's when I kind of left. 5-minute queue timer, you know, it was much longer than that. I mean, if you thought the queues were bad now, back then it was abysmal. But yeah, and then when I left, you know, it was because the player base was really low, and I did come back every now and then, but the meta was very clear. Back then, it was whoever has the highest altitude performance and redlines it the entire time will win. And why is this the case? Well, because there was no respawns and there was no sectors, and the ground targets that they did have just did not influence the battle that much. So you really did have to get kills in order for the game to be won. So players would simply stay at super high altitudes, wait for someone to come up to them, and well, now they're a sitting duck because you go really slow trying to get up to that altitude. You come down, you feast on their hit points, they blow up, and you gain your altitude right back. And that was the meta of the game. I thought it was pathetic, and Wargaming did nothing to change that meta. And so that's why I stopped. It was no longer each plane was viable. It was more of a situation of who has the best altitude performance and who stays as high as they possibly can the whole battle, and that's just dumb. I'll link a video of this in the description if you want to see just how bad it is or was. There was an ME262 HG3 replay that I saw. The guy got 14 kills. There was only one tier 10 on each team, so he killed the tier 10 immediately, and then just redlined it the whole time, and nobody can get up to him. So he comes down, eagle-eyed, kills someone, and gains his altitude right back. That's how this entire battle. It's the entire premise of the battle. Super eventful, super enjoyable. Loads of strategy were involved in that. I'm sure it took him a long time to try to get up 14 kills. Don't get me wrong, 14 kills when there was only 15 planes was an impressive feat. But, regardless, that's not right. I don't like that meta. And that's why I didn't really care about leaving, right? Because there was no respawns, and I didn't like that meta at all. My brother and my dad did like that meta, and so they did play for a while. They kind of lost interest, especially when the player base died so much, but they still played it on occasion, and they still enjoyed it. But yeah, it was pretty bad. But yeah, the bots were added, but it was too late for me. I didn't really care anymore. I had no interest in fighting bots at the time. And I just remembered the glory days of beta, when there was a lot of players, and it was actually pretty fun. Everyone was still trying to learn the game. The redlining altitude meta hadn't really been discovered yet, but you know, that's regardless. And you know, by a year and a half into the game being released, I stopped playing the game altogether. I'm not entirely sure when I left. I'm sure if you go back and you look at my statistics, you can tell exactly when I left. But I personally don't really know. I don't really remember. But there was a time where I just absolutely left. But anyway, we skip a few years, and World of Warplanes 2.0 was announced. I saw this on readastatusreport.live. So I saw that, and I also think I saw it on thearmoredpatrol.com. So I knew it was coming, but you know, I really had ignored World of Warplanes for so much, I didn't really care anymore. And if it was only that I saw, I would not have come to join 2.0. But that being said, Jingles, the mighty Jingles, Des Games, and Mark GFL, back then he was known as Aging Jedi, began to review 2.0, and all three of them gave raving reviews. They did several videos on it. Well, Jingles I think only did one video, but Des Games and Mark GFL did several videos on World of Warplanes, and it looked really fun. All three of them said it was fun. And so I thought it might actually be the great revival of World of Warplanes. It intrigued me, and so I downloaded the game and started it back up for the first time in years. And I really did enjoy it. There was a lot of players, and the economy, that was one of the first things I learned. The economy was way better, and that really appealed to me. But then, yeah, it was a new meta emerged with the new Conquest game mode. That was basically turn and burn. So, and that is the most important, I think, or not necessarily most important. I don't think turn and burn is as powerful as others do. I felt like turn and burn definitely was the easiest to play for new players, because you didn't really have to worry about boom and zoom, because I feel like that's probably one of the hardest mechanics for people to understand. And GA was so what's the right word? So detracted from the original, or from like shooting down planes, and it's a little bit difficult to get used to, I guess. So detached. So turn and burn definitely was the most easy for people to understand. But in my opinion, I think all aircraft types are valid. If you know how to boom and zoom, that is most certainly not dead. I've gotten plenty of really good games in boom and zoom planes. I don't think I'll ever be able to get as good of scores as I can in turn and burn aircraft, just because turn and burn aircraft has such an easy time shooting down large amounts of planes very quickly. They don't have to think very hard when they're trying to get on new targets' tails. Whereas boom and zoom, you can only really focus like one or two planes when you zoom in, and you have to go way far away, spend quite a few seconds turning around, and then come back in, target, find your target, and then go and attack. But that being said, I thought all classes are good. I love the respawns mechanic. I thought that was great. It sped up the gameplay. It made it feel more like a chess game, more like strategic, but still very, very fast-paced. You didn't have the issue where there was no targets, or you died immediately, you had to go back to hangar, choose another plane, get back in battle, and get killed again, and get sent right back to the hangar. I think the respawn mechanic works wonders for World Warplanes. I think it works very well. I know some people disagree. My brother is definitely one of those. He hates the respawn mechanic. Not entirely sure why, but he hates the respawn mechanic and he hates 2.0. But I myself really enjoy it. That being said, queue times were very short. Even when there were not many players playing, you really didn't have to wait longer than 2 minutes. And then I went to World of Tanks just to compare the queue times. And if you're playing tier 10 at World of Tanks, you can have just as long of queue times, if not longer, at times, than World of Warplanes. And you just have to keep that in mind. I don't think queue times are really that bad, despite what people say. I do like the bots. The bots seem pretty good. Bots are bots. You don't have crazy uneven skill games with bots, so I think that works really well. But anyway, the progression rate, the economy, all that was really good. I thought it made a lot of sense. Try to get people hooked. There was a lot of bonus codes, lots of fun stuff, and I really did get hooked on the game. At this point, I joined OWSS, right? So World of Warplanes clan, and then I really started looking for a way to record my battles so that I could do YouTube, because I started getting to the point where getting really high score games was not an irregularity, but rather a common occurrence to me. I feel like I started becoming very, very good at the game. And there are very few online games that I can say confidently that I'm very good at. But this one is definitely one of them. And so I enjoyed it. But I tried finding YouTube. I didn't really find any good channels on YouTube. Slay wasn't around when I was searching. But I did find Shrike Gaming, and there was a couple other channels, but I thought their gameplay was poor, their decisions were poor, and I didn't really enjoy the way they had their channel set up. Zem, I liked his channel, Shrike Gaming. I liked it. I thought it was really good, very informative. He seemed like he knew what he was doing. I still had better scores than him most of the time, but he seemed pretty good, and it was because of that I felt like there was a need for a better YouTuber in this field. I knew that it wouldn't be for subscribers, because there really isn't that many World of Warplanes users. But I enjoyed the game. I was really good at the game. I feel like I could do pretty good commentary. I watch Quickie Baby all the time, and I try to make my commentary similar to his. I'm sure you guys can see parallels in it. It's kind of It's kind of good. He goes too much in stats though, and Zem from Strike Gaming goes too much into history. I don't know that much about the history of these planes as much as other people, and I didn't really care to do research on it. So I think that's very reflective in my videos. Started experimenting with certain formulas. I think I finally found a formula that works really well, and a system for making videos that works really well for me, at least. It may not work for you guys, but you know, it was that. So that's kind of when I started YouTube. I really enjoyed the maps. The Albion event, the Skies of Albion event started, and I thought it was a really terrible event. You had the option to get tier 8s, but even if you won the tier 8, you still had to complete missions for them, which I thought was retarded. Especially with, like, you know, that random draw style. And some people were telling me those missions were ridiculously hard. To me, I don't think they would have been terrible, the ones they were telling, but they did definitely seem like they would take a little while. And I really just didn't care about that event, especially since the Axis never won, really. And at that point, I only had German planes. I had a couple premiums of different nations, but all in all, I only had Axis power planes, so I'd always join the Axis power, even though I knew we were going to lose. And that was just stupid. So to me, it was a really terrible, terrible event, because the Allies always won, except for like one or two nights. But I didn't like that event at all, and I still wasn't super serious about the game at that time. Yeah, and I was really trying to find, you know, people that I could play with. I mostly did single player at that time. But yeah, then I found Discord, Zem's Discord for JG52, and I joined that, and there's a lot of people on there now that I know very well, and are just absolute fun to flight up with. They're really great people, and it added more longevity to the game. That's the word, longevity. Fun word too, if you know how to pronounce it. But yes, I enjoyed the game, especially with Discord. And after 2.0, the player base improved significantly. The player numbers had been higher than it had been years before. The community was really great. Conquest was perfect game mode, I thought. I don't know if things could get changed, but I thought it was like definitely on the right track. Really good. I thought the developers were showing promise. And then the next patch came. And this is where bugs started happening. You had the chat bug, where the chat would never work. You had the no collision bug, which I'm sure you're seeing that footage somewhere. Couldn't really get any chat bug footage, I guess. I don't know. It was definitely an issue for several months. We had instability of the client, where you would just crash for some stupid reason. I don't know. You couldn't log in, whatever. You have a terrible FPS issue. If you compare it to World of Tanks, I can run 1.0 World of Tanks on medium graphic settings, no issue, 60 FPS, absolutely no problem. You come over to World of Warplanes, and I'm forced to play at very low settings, and I'm lucky to get 20 FPS. 20 to 30 FPS is on a really good day. If I have a lot of stuff open, then I usually get anywhere from 10 to 15 FPS. And that's kind of what I've gotten used to. But at the time, I thought it was really retarded. I thought maybe they should be getting their stability fixed, which I still do. I don't think you should have that bad FPS for a game with a developer this big, but it is what it is. I've had a bug where I'm the only player in the battle. There are no bots, no humans on either team. I am the only one. It spawns me outside of the map, and once the tick down timer goes down to 0, it crashes. It sends me back to the hangar, it never loads the hangar, and it's a crash. I don't know what causes that bug, but I had it just yesterday again, and that's just stupid. Terrible, terrible bug. Definitely a game-breaking bug. The hangar load times, they are faster than they used to be if you ever played 2.0, or pre-2.0. The hangar load times were abysmal, but they are better, but they are still very slow load times. Terribly slow load times for that game, but you know, whatever. Now with all these bugs, you do have to understand that World of Warplanes is too small to really have a core testing group. They don't have a test server, and they don't really have much of anything. I think they might still have super test, but it's a very, 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 very small super test, and so really the live server is the test server in many situations, and I think that's what's causing so many of these issues to not get spotted. But if we think about it, I talked about this. Albion missions, access only is 1, so I didn't think that set up very well. Terrible, terrible event, in my opinion. The bugs are an issue. They need to stop. I know there's so many different systems, but if Wargaming wants to make this game successful, which I thought they truly did after 2.0 because it did look really good, they had marketing, they had big YouTubers give good reviews on it, and it still sucks. They just add bug after bug after bug. They say they fix an issue, and it doesn't actually fix it, it just adds new issues. The latest event, or the latest issue I can talk about is the data leak issue, where after so much time your game would just crash for no apparent reason, and it was because of the data leak, so you had to clear your cache, right, every time you started. In this latest patch was supposed to fix that, update 2.0.4.10. It was supposed to fix this data leak issue, but it didn't. It did not fix the data leak issue at all. Instead, it made it worse. For me, it actually fixed it. I think I have no issues, but I know several people, and if you go on the forums, there are several people who have worse issues than they did before, where their FPS is below 10, 10 on a good day, and it makes no sense. So they have to clear their cache every time they start up, and every 2 or 3 battles at best they have to close the game completely and restart it because the data leak is so bad, and that is just stupid. I was informed by one of the people that had the issue that the fix for it was to drop down certain settings manually, and he normally plays on very high graphic settings, but he was forced down to medium, I think is what he said. I could be wrong, but it was something stupid like that. He had to change very specific settings manually, and then it fixed it. It's still low FPS for him, but it's manageable. I don't know why. That is unacceptable. 100% unacceptable. And then once these issues do arise, it takes weeks or even months to fix it. That's just terrible. If you take the chat issue, that was down for several months before it came back. And then if you go on, I'm gonna butcher her name, but I think it's like Priola or something. Her Discord, there's a bug section reporting bugs, and that it's constantly getting like 5 or 6 reports daily. That's unacceptable. Not all of them are game breaking, but it just goes to show how many bugs there are in this game. It's critically high, way too critically high, in my opinion. I've played mods where there's only one developer. There's one guy who makes an entire fan mod, It looks really professional. He's done things to the mechanics of the core game that he used to mod to make a completely different game. And he did things that we didn't even know were possible on that engine. The greatest example is Hyrule Total War. And because he did things to the game that people didn't know was even possible to do, and very complicated models of units and stuff, uh, it causes the game to be very unstable. Um, but that being said, it's a one guy developing it. He's not going to find all the bugs. And yet that mod that he did by himself is better, stability-wise, than World of Warplanes. That is unacceptable. That is unbelievably unacceptable. Another example is Medieval Total War 2. There's a mod for it called Third Age Total War, and there's a mod beyond that as a sub-mod called Divide and Conquer. There's only about, it's a very small group of developers, just like 4 or 5 max. They have a couple testers, and that's it. So a very, very small group. And their game crashes maybe if you play non-stop day after day. It only crashes like if you do very specific things, very, very specific things. Like it's a very isolated issue. You know, maybe a certain battle map won't load correctly, or you know, if you're trying to destroy the One Ring from Lord of the Rings in that mod, you try to destroying it and it won't actually get destroyed, but actually being able to do that is quite tricky in of itself, and you're not required to do it to even play the game. So they're very isolated issues, and the stability is like rock solid. It is super stable. Then you have games with developers. There's a single developer on these mods, and they use Unreal Engine 4, and they try to remaster old games to make them look really nice, and those are more stable than this game. I don't get it. The stability on World of Warplanes is unacceptable. Players that have very little knowledge, or sorry, developers that have very little knowledge on actually making a game can make a far more stable game than a professional developer. It's just wrong. It should never, ever be a thing. Not to this extent. I know that it's not a very popular game, right? World of Warplanes is definitely not very popular. But this is unacceptable. You should never have this bad of stability issues in your game when you're that big of a developer. Alright, but let's stop talking about bugs for a second and talk about what Wargaming does right. Okay? Wargaming has tried, I think one of the greatest examples of them fixing certain things is Operation Westwall. It was the event after Operation Albion, or the Albion event, and they offered 2 Tier 8 premiums that you can get for completely free. And it was good because you knew exactly what you needed to do in order to get the planes. And during that entire event, there was only one mission that I ever had issue with completing because it would not complete, and that was the last mission in the Dornier 335. The other missions were very difficult, right? Some of them are very challenging or very time-consuming, but regardless, you knew exactly what you needed to do in order to get the planes, and there was nice rewards along the way. So it was really good, and then also the player population during that time soared, despite many people not liking the invasion game mode. And, you know, people still liked the Albion event, or the, what was the other one? The attrition mode, but it still wasn't as popular as Conquest, I don't think. And yet there were still a lot of people that played it. So that is definitely an example of a strength. I know there was a lot of issues with it, but not like because the missions wouldn't work. I know some people are like, oh, this mission is bugged because I have 15 kills and I needed to get 15 kills and I didn't die at all and it said minimum of dying of twice and I didn't get it. Well, that's because they said enemy planes, not aerial planes. So I think many of those bugs were due to people not fully understanding what they had to do in order to complete missions. So definitely maybe the wording needs to be more specific in the next event, but it's definitely a good step, and I thought it was a much bigger success than Operation Albion. And the new modes were really good. It offered a different twist on the 2.0 formula. I liked it. Attrition was fine. And then Invasion, it was really bad when it first came out, but the next 2 weekends that it was around, each weekend got improvements to the mode, to the point where at the end of the event, I thought Invasion was a really fun mode, a very legit mode. So that kind of showed that Wargaming was trying as well, right? Of course, I already talked about the Dornier 335 Mission 15 being bugged, but I just wanted to kind of mention that. With that being said, though, the bugs and the issues in this game have reached critical capacity. They've been bad for months, and it's rare to go on World of Warplanes and have a session where there's absolutely no bugs. Bug-free session almost never happens. And I think that's very unacceptable. It's not right. Not right at all. Wargaming is losing players super fast. I'm a pretty patient person, but I can probably tell you that if I'm being generous, I'd say 65% of the population that came from 2.0 is already gone. And that's being generous. I'm pretty sure it's much, much higher than that. With the player populations now and the comments that I'm reading in the forums and on Discord, I don't expect this game to last much longer. This is kind of this was their last chance, and they did a really good job marketing it. When it first came out, it was really good, hardly any stability issues. But after they started adding and changing certain things, the stability issues are always there, always prevalent, always something wrong, and it's just bad. If Wargaming can't fix it, I don't even think I want to play this game anymore, because it is really bad. I wanted to go on yesterday, and I had that issue where I was the only player in the battle, so it crashed me, and then I had another issue where I went into battle, totally watched the game play out. I had over 20,000 personal points in my tier 9, so really good battle. I was gonna save it so I could use it for a review, but unfortunately, when I got back to the hangar, it said that my plane was still in battle, and clearly it wasn't, because I watched the battle play out. So I wasn't able to get the post-game stats for that battle, and it's just failure after failure, in my opinion. They did add the bomber class, which is kind of cool, but the premium ones are so much better than the non-premium bombers that it's just wrong, right? It's just wrong. I'm also going to mention just a couple more things real quick. I think the maps are too big at lower tiers. if you have to spend so much time traveling, then you might as well play War Thunder. That's not the goal of this mode or this game. The map should be very, very small for low tiers because they're very slow planes. And you shouldn't have missile bases and command centers and asymmetrical maps at low tiers. At low tiers you should have airstrips, garrisons, maybe one airfield, and that's it. The other unique sectors should be saved for higher tiers, so that people kind of ease into the game, kind of get a feel for it without having to take the missile base or lose. The missile base is just wrong at low tiers, and bomber formations at low tiers, stupidest idea ever. Stupid idea. So they need to address that. Bot behavior is super frustrating as well. Heavy fighters, their only goal is to ram you. Even allied heavy fighters will ram you. I've so many countless occasions where allied heavy fighters just ram you for the no good apparent reason. Some of those veteran bots have laser accuracy, and you know, we want the bots to be smart, not ultra human. See, when the bots first came out, there was an issue where they didn't really feel like they were very impactful. They would all swarm to one sector, die one by one, respawn, trundle their way back into the center objective, die again, respawn, go to the center objective, die again, rinse and repeat the whole battle, right? They never accomplished anything. They just died. And they're really stupid bots too, so they weren't hard to kill. So Wargaming changed it. So now the bots scatter in no apparent rhyme or reason. They just scatter to random sectors. You have bots that'll spawn on one side of the map, and there's 3 sectors that are pretty close to them. They'll ignore all of them and travel all the way to the far sector. That's just stupid. Not good game design, in my opinion. Then we wanted smarter bots, so they gave us laser pointing bots that would kill you immediately as if they looked on you, and they would stay on your tail no matter what. You couldn't shake them, you couldn't do anything against them. They just kill you, and it's like they are headhunting. Bots that headhunt. That's not what we asked for. We asked for smarter bots, not focus the human bots. So that's wrong. It's just wrong. Don't do that. Bad idea. Bad idea, Wargaming. We want GAs to target factories. We want bots to work in groups, not trundle their way across the entire map to a single sector. We want, if you've got a command center, an airfield, and a garrison, have the attack aircraft go to the missile base, have heavy fighters go to missile base, have the fighters go to the airfield, and maybe 1 or 2 stragglers to go off to the garrison to maybe take it. That's what we want, because that's strategic. That's useful, smart bots. We want bots that can actually take sectors. I don't want to have situations where I've had situations where I go to a command center. You kill all the air defense over there. You just need to kill 1 ground target. You have 3 bot GA over there. So you're like, I'm pretty sure this is handled. So you go to the center objective. And what happens? Oh, the bots die over the sector. Great. Great. That's just what we wanted. Just what we wanted. So now you lose influence on the sector. You never end up taking the sector the whole battle. And so you have to work your way back over to the command center to shoot down ground targets in a fighter because your 3 GAs can't do jack. That's wrong. That's the bots that we want to fix. GAs should take sectors easily, especially if there's human GAs on the enemy team. Same with human bombers, because if you have a human RB-17, well, that thing needs a nerf. I don't care if, oh, we don't nerf premiums. Well, then don't nerf it and send it up to tier 10. It'll still be good. So retarded. That needs to get fixed. I also want bots that can actually kill bomber formations. People have told me that the bots actually kill bomber formations, but I have not seen that once. This entire patch, I have not ever seen a single bot take down any bomber flight formations unless I'm there shooting at them too. Then they'll hit them all day. Then they'll destroy them like it's no problem. But if I'm not there, the bots will not kill it. Or the bots will just ignore the bomber formations because reasons. So that's bad. That's unacceptable. But the bombers have like no hit points. It's really not hard to shoot down a bomber flight, no matter what plane you're flying. So a bot should be able to kill it pretty easily. So that needs to get fixed. I want to mention one other thing before I end this. Before I played World of Warplanes, I played World of Tanks. Okay. I was a beta tester in World of Warships, and I've played World of Tanks since it was released, for the most part. So I remember way back in the day, right? But there was another game that I played. Any of you guys remember Armored Warfare? You know, that tank game with modern tanks instead? Yeah, that game. The one with PvE. The one with bots. Bot tanks. Yeah, that one. Well, I don't know if many of you guys know this, but I really enjoyed that game. Really enjoyed it. The economy in that game was very reasonable. I do think it was worse than the economy in World of Warplanes, but it was definitely good. You had no issue moving up the tiers at a decent pace. It wasn't terrible grindy like World of Tanks. The economy was really good. The arty was fixed. I know some people are like, oh, it's autocannon arty. But the autocannon arty really did not do much damage. It really wasn't an issue. I thought the arty was excellent the way it was in Armored Warfare. You fired an arty and you could get counter-artied because it revealed your position to the enemy arty. Super great stuff, right? There was a lot of issues about World of Tanks that got fixed in Armored Warfare. A lot of things. PvP was super fun. I always did really well in PvP. Like, I could get some stupid, ridiculous scores in Armored Warfare. Stuff that I just can't do in World of Tanks because I don't have premium account time. I don't have a Scorpion G. I don't play Clan Wars and get crap tons of gold. I'm a free-to-play player 100% in World of Tanks. You can't do that. Armored Warfare, you can be a free-to-play player and you got a lot of good stuff. So, I want to compare World of Warplanes development to Armored Warfare's development. And some of you guys may think this is really stupid of me, but I see so many parallels when I compare the two games. And I do really want to compare these two. So, the game was really good. I'm sure you guys remember when Armored Warfare first started becoming a thing. Cookie Baby and a bunch of other YouTubers, you know, used clickbaity titles and said, is this the next World of Tanks killer? Of course it wasn't, right? But there was a lot of hype around the game. There was a lot of, you know, all these issues with the game got fixed, and it's World of Tanks, but the problems are solved. There's no gold ammo. Armor is effective, but there's weak points. You can't side scrape and auto win. Tanks are mobile, and the maps are large, which allows you to not be clustered in together. It reduced the amount of camping. It was very fast-paced, more fast-paced than World of Tanks. There were so many good things about Armored Warfare. The PvP was lively. The PvE was fun. The PvE was not kicked down to the dirt. They made PvP and PvE equally profitable, which allowed you to play PvE to upgrade your tanks without the pressure of being stock in PvP. You got a really good feel for your tank in PvE. Then you went to PvP to prove your skills in that tank. Oh, it was glorious. Then they added global ops, and that was a mixture between PvE and PvP. It's hard to explain right now, but it worked really well. Really well. It was a very fun game. And then Obsidian was kicked out. It was taken over by My.com. My.com finished Balance 2.0. That's what they called it, Balance 2.0. Sound familiar? Yeah. Yeah, it does. It killed the game, guys. Armored Warfare went from a fun game to a straight up World of Tanks clone. That's what My.com wanted the whole time. They just wanted to tap into the meat of, you know, tap into the bank account of World of Tanks. If you can't innovate, don't make a game. You're gonna fail. Because people like different. And that's what Armored Warfare was before My.com came and brought the hammer down on Obsidian. Well, anyway, I really enjoyed the game. I even paid for $100 for their massive, basically all premiums in the entire game bundle. I thought it was a really good deal. That was just before Balance 2.0. And they killed it. Balance 2.0 ruined the game. Absolutely ruined it. I thought the mechanics became too complicated. The UI was not intuitive anymore. And they started doing a lot of bad stuff. And I started hating on the game. I really did. I really started hating on it. But it is what it is. I stopped playing Armored Warfare. Saddest thing ever. Well, after World of Warplanes, it's kind of the alternative, right? World of Warplanes was really bad pre-2.0 and became very good after 2.0. So that's a little bit of a parallel, but it's flipped upside down. Well, Armored Warfare started to introduce higher tier premiums. The first high tier premium after 2.0 was the Centauro 155, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I think it was that one though. It used to be a tier 7 tank. Well, it was technically a wheeled vehicle, a wheeled tank destroyer. But it was really good tier 7 pre 2.0, and it was so good that Armored Warfare bumped it up 2 tiers. And there was a premium version, so the premium became the first tier 9 premium. Okay, that was also a nice thing. Armored Warfare was not afraid to rebalance premiums if they were too powerful or too weak. That was super great. That was really good. So I had the first tier 9 premium, and that premium made more credits than tier 8 premiums. And then they started adding loot crates. Legit loot crates. And if you guys know anything about loot crates in this modern age, there's a huge debacle going on about them right now. And you know what's in those loot crates? Up to 10 years of premium account time. Sounds great, right? They've got tier 10 premiums in there. Tier 8 premiums. They've got a whole bunch of other crap that I just don't know because I don't play the game anymore. But there was a lot of crap in those loot crates. So you know what? People wanted those tier 10 premiums. There was also tier 9 premiums I think in there too, but don't quote me on that either. But I know there was at least tier 10 premiums, and I know there was 10 years of premium account in those loot crates. So you know what people did? They started buying those loot crates because they wanted tier 10 premiums. Of course no one's going to do it for the 10 years of premium because no one's going to get that. But that's just a gig. They're going to give it to like 2 people, right? You're not going to get those 10 years of premium account time. But there was a lot of that stuff. And then a few weeks later, well, they had promised, oh, we're never going to sell these tanks again. If you want these high tier premiums, this is the only opportunity you're going to get. You're never going to be able to get these tanks again. 2 weeks later, they came out and you could just purchase them. Does this sound familiar to you guys? It should. Because what just was released a couple weeks ago? Oh yeah, that's the XF85 Goblin. You know what tier that is? That's a tier 9 premium. Interesting. Interesting. Yes, World of Tanks does have tier 9 premiums. The only tier 9 premium it has currently is a T55A. How do you get that tank? Oh, you have to do the personal missions, you say. Oh, it doesn't get premium credits and experience per battle, you say? Oh, well that's pretty acceptable then. Tier 10 premiums. Ooh, how do you get those? Oh, Clan Wars reward tanks. Oh, okay. Personal mission reward tanks. Oh, okay. Ranked battle rewards? Sure. But they don't get more credits and experience than a tier 8 premium. They make just as much as any other tier 10. So, there's that. And now you say, oh, but World of Warships has tier 9 premiums. Oh, okay. Well, how do you get those tier 9 premiums? Oh, you need 600,000 free experience, huh? Oh, okay. Well, you're not gonna get them easy. You can't purchase them with real money, right? Okay, so it's a reward for playing the game for a long period of time. I see. That's good. That's good. World of Warplanes is the only one that you can purchase tier 9 premiums that make more credits than tier 8 premiums. Now, if you've seen my review, I don't think it's astronomical, but it's the little tiny steps, little teeny tiny steps forward. They're testing the waters. Are we okay with these tier 9 premiums? Oh, you are? Alright, well, let's start adding these RB17s to tier 9. Let's start adding these IL-10Ms to tier 9. Oh, if they're okay with tier 9, maybe they're okay with tier 10. Let's start adding tier 10. They're trying to milk us, trying to take out every little penny they can because it's a dying game. They don't care about the game anymore. And with that, I think I'm done with my ramble. This game's dying, guys. Open your eyes. And unfortunately, if these bugs can't get fixed in the next couple patches, I'm done. Let me take a moment real quick and check out how many more videos I have prepared. Well, I don't have them prepared, but I have the raw file. I have the replay. So I want to see how many more I'm going to be doing. A sneak peek into the future. Well, the A7M just came out today as I'm recording this video. We have BVP 212. I have 2 awesome games of that. IL-2, that's 2 planes. KI-84, that's 3. P-1099 B2, that's 4. MEP-1092, that's 5. MEP-1102B, that's 6. TA 183, that's 7, and a Yak 7, that is 8, and also ME 265, that's 9. So I do have 9 replays in storage right now that I will like to do, and I also had a request for the, oh, what is it called? The Airacobra, the not XFL, the P39 N1 Airacobra. I have a request for that one, so I will try to get a battle of that. And I'm not by any means done with the game, but it's very possible that I will be soon. If they can't get these bugs fixed out, I don't know. It's a fun game, but I'm not gonna support it, and I don't advise you guys, if you like this game and you like there's a lot of bugs in there and all this other crap, then by all means buy their planes, buy stuff, you know, give Wargaming money. But if you do not support their buggy approach, you don't like that they're adding tier 9 premiums, if you don't like that they can't fix core mechanics without adding new gameplay stuff, then be like me and don't buy stuff, because you're gonna be disappointed. You're not gonna get those planes back, and you're not gonna get your money back, and the game's gonna die, the account's gonna be shut down, and there goes your money with it. So, as sad as it is, I don't see this game going very far anymore. But I really wanted to go through, I know it's a very long video, it's very long-winded. Oh wow, very long-winded. It's gonna take me forever to upload it. But with that being said, guys, I'm sorry for the ramble, I'm sorry for the rant. I didn't want to do this, but it had to be done. I wanted to get my voice out, and it's out. But just don't expect me to play this game much more anymore. I'll probably be ending this game pretty soon. Maybe I'll go over to Hyrule Total War again, and maybe Divide and Conquer. Maybe I'll do some HD fan-made games. Or maybe some mods for some fun games like Breath of the Wild. I don't know, just random crap. We'll see. But I'll still do World of Warplanes stuff for now. But please let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of all this stuff, what I talked about. Do you agree with me? Does it need to get fixed? Or are you able to put up with it longer? Please let me know. I don't want to do this. I really didn't. I never ever wanted to make a video ranting on World of Warplanes. And, you know, I've played it since 2.0 came out, which was, what, back in February? Or, sorry, not back in February, like November of last year? Or slightly earlier? And here it is April, so 6 months later. And the problem still persists, 6 months after the release of 2.0. Or very nearly 6 months. If they can't fix the issues, then why should I play? Why should I play? Alright, have a great day everyone. Sorry for the ramble. Have a great day.